undefeated. That's why they call me undisputed. I'm ranking up another season. I've been up on my stats. Now would you look at that? Undefeated, locked and loaded. We about to blow. Caught them with that left, I leave them tapped out on the floor.
All right, everyone. Welcome to our next video, Week 1 predictions. Notice the intro song there. We're back to our intro songs because we're official now. It's Week 1. We had a game last night, and boy, what a fun game that was to watch. And not going to say it. Yeah, I will. The only one to predict it right? I know we put it on the chat last night, put a poll, and everybody was heavy on Baltimore. But I said it was KC and in a nail biter, and that's how it came through. So, yeah, what a great game to start the season. That was amazing. So in our intro song here, undefeated because everyone, right, is undefeated. And for half of you, at least for at the end of this weekend, will not be able to say that anymore. But as of right now, everybody is undefeated. So let's get right into it. We'll try to keep this video at a decent length, but we'll get into it. So the idea of today, right, is to discuss Week 1 predictions and who's going to win this week and move on and be undefeated and who will not. So we will start out. We always put my game towards the end. So John, you will get your prediction here towards the end of the video. So we will start then with Jay versus Adam. Oh, Jay already has a pretty good start to this matchup after one game, right? And why is that? Oh, he had Lamar. And he also had Butker, but it really was Lamar. And it really wasn't Lamar's throwing or touchdowns. It was rushing, right? 100 and some yards. I think it's on here, 121 yards rushing. Definitely helps when your quarterback runs for that and adds to that total. So that already helps. And then why else? Do I think he might do great things? Because he's already predicted to win by like 24, right? He has CeeDee Lamb. So that's definitely going to help him win the week, right? With Lamar already and CeeDee coming up here on Sunday. What? There's nothing stopping Jay from winning this week. Adam, unfortunately, I just think you need a good week to really get your running back situation kind of figured out. I know you identified that already on your own, but you have a good handful of running backs, and I think you might really need to see kind of how Week 1 plays out just to know which ones are going to be your starters and things like that. And you also had Mark Andrews, which, that just kind of sucked. The ball didn't go to him. It went to likely the majority of the game. Not sure if that's going to continue, but definitely hurt you this week. So with this matchup, then we've got Jay winning fairly easily. Ian versus Will, our next matchup, and kind of what's funny on there. They had the two wide receivers from last night, Rice versus Worthy, and they both had pretty decent nights. Rice didn't have any touchdowns, but he had 103 yards on 7 receptions, and Worthy, of course, had those 2 touchdowns. So both right now looking like very smart for either keeping them or drafting them when they did. But overall, I mean, Will has, of course, Henry, who had a touchdown last night, but that was it. He only had 46 yards. He wasn't used much, and the Ravens were really criticized right after the game. It's been all over ESPN this morning on, why didn't they play bully ball? Why didn't they utilize Henry a little bit more? And I'm sure as the season goes on, they will factor, plan that into the game plan a little bit more. But as I continue to look at it, not only did, Will have Worthy, Henry, but he's also got Barkley coming up tonight. Burrow, I just feel good about Will's team. I think I've said that a couple of times now. I really like Will's team, the way he drafted, and I think he's going to get the win pretty handily this week. So Will wins this matchup between Ian. The next one, Josh versus Sean. As of right now, right, Sleeper says Josh is going to win by about 8. I do think it will be pretty close, but I am going to give the edge to Josh. As long as McCaffrey plays, and as of right now, I know he's got a question mark, and if you read it, it says that the coaching staff doesn't have any concerns and so on. So I'm hoping that to be true and planning on that as long as he plays, I think Josh will end up winning by a decent amount. I think it's going to go into the Monday night game, of course, with McCaffrey, of course, hoping that he plays, but then also against Garrett Wilson. I think Wilson's going to need probably 30 plus points, maybe more than that, for Sean to, make it a game. And I just don't see it. I mean, Sean does. That's why he picked him number one, right? But I don't. And I play that into my predictions. So I say that Josh doesn't get that out of Wilson. All right, sorry, that Sean doesn't get that out of Wilson on Monday night, and Josh ends up winning. So there we go. Josh wins this matchup. Next matchup, Jeremy versus Dez. Dez, of course, still with the team name of Hawk Tua, which you know how much I love that. But that aside, looking at, I think, a very, very close matchup. This is actually the one that I picked will be the closest of the week. I'm going to give the edge to Jeremy. Couple of reasons. Richardson, this will probably be the week that he's healthy. And based on how last year went and so on, if you catch him on the healthy weeks, he can put up some points, and that probably will be this week. He, of course, then has Nakua. He has some pretty decent running back options. I think that just has some pretty high ceilings. With Dez, I mean, he's got Jefferson. You're assuming no matter who they throw out at quarterback, right, he's going to score some points. Harrison, I think, is still an unknown, his other wide receiver. And really taking all that kind of consideration, looking at the rest of the teams. Again, I think it's going to be really close. I know Jeremy only had 4 points on defense already last night. I don't think that sways it much at all. I'm going to give the win this week to Jeremy in a nail biter. All right, 2 games to go. Next one, Clint versus Jake. Jake had some players play last night. Mahomes actually didn't score as many points as I thought he would. I think that one, worthy touchdown, which was a rushing touchdown, kind of hurt. If that would have ended up being a passing touchdown, then he probably would have been right around where he needed to be, or at least projected on there. Pacheco did pretty much about exactly what you expect. Didn't have a ton of yards, kind of like how Henry did, but, had a touchdown, had a couple receptions, so that helps. So, I do think this one is also going to be very close. Not as close as probably the Jeremy and Dez matchup. But I do think I'm going to give the edge here to Jake. Why? Jake still, again, it was another team that I said that I loved. It's week 1. Nothing's changed yet. So Will's team, Jake's team, I'm still really, really high on. I predict them both to win. Week 1, Jake's got some powerhouse still coming up with in running backs with Taylor and Etienne. I think both of them will have decent amount of points. Tank Dell, I think, will be a performer in week 1. So I'm going to give the edge to Jake. So, all right, there we go. We've gone through 5, and we have our winners so far. So the last one, maybe the best matchup of the week. Maybe it won't be as close as some of the others, but the one I'm mostly worried about, of course, is between myself and John. Well, let's look at it. So, I said I don't think I'm going to make the playoffs. I think I love my team. I do. I think I'm very strong on wide receiver. I just predict things are going to go bad and they're going to get hurt. But let's say they don't get hurt for week 1 and they all play and the whole game and perform. I really like my chances on week 1. So I am going to pick myself to take down John this week. I know after last night's game, it was still pretty darn close, and I got lucky. But a big reason why I feel I'm going to win this week is because John did not keep CeeDee Lamb as his number 1 pick. Who did he take instead? He decided to roll the dice and take the, who was available, right? The best available. And he took Kelsey. And look what Kelsey did for you, John. Last night, 6.4 points. CeeDee Lamb probably would have got you 25. That could have been the difference in winning this week. But you know what? We all live with our decisions. And you're going to have to live with the 6.4 points for this week. Could change. It was only this week. But I'm glad it was this week because that's the week that I'm facing you and playing against him. I do think it's going to come down to Monday night still. He has Breece Hall, which is probably his most powerful point scorer on the team. He's probably going to need 25 plus points or so to be able to, pull out the win. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that he'll have an okay game. He's playing San Francisco again in a pretty decent defense. So I think they'll hold him in check enough to protect the victory for myself. So I get the win. So to recap, who's going undefeated this week? Jay, Will, Josh, Jeremy. Jake, and myself. Those are our 6 winners coming out of this weekend. So there you go. Go ahead and bet on it. Do what you got to do. And we'll see how it plays out. So again, don't forget there is a game tonight. And then, of course, the majority of the action starts on Sunday into Monday night. So good luck, everyone. We'll see how this plays out. And we'll talk again after the weekend to kind of recap how we did in our picks and see how everyone's record is then going into week 2.
Go to the fire, the breath. King of the jungle and be in my chest. They say I'm posing a threat. Just like a puppet, I'm kind of net. Ring on my finger, but yes. Like playing chess and I don't even sweat. That's what I call a finesse. That's what I call a finesse. Ain't no rivals, ain't no rivals. They can try, but they're never ever slowing me down. On arrival, this is my show. Crossing my heart. They know we are undefeated. That's why they call me undisputed. I'm ranking up another season. I've been up on my stats. Now would you look at that?